Hello YouTube, this is a response video to SethTheProgrammer's latest video about Arale versus Saitama. Or rather, this starts off more focused on the nature of Saitama as a gag or parody character, and what that means in terms of his character's strength. I think to start off first, with respect and recognition to Seth and Chuck, I like their content, even though they are pretty brutal / savage with this last video. They decided they were taking off the gloves and used a lot of harsh language to prove some of their points home. The biggest agreement I have with them is that they clarify a difference between parody and a gag character, and they clearly say that Saitama is a parody, not a gag, which that makes sense to me, and this distinction didn't really occur to me until just now. It's actually really useful in terms of defining different characters and how they relate to their genres and the tropes they have and the abilities and how they would compare to each other. Now, Saitama obviously does not have the toon force, the toon force being a term describing cartoon characters and their ability to pretty much do anything at any time for no reason at all. Bugs Bunny, SpongeBob, a lot of characters in Western animation, but not just Western animation, but some anime characters like anime and manga characters like Arale are used in funny, lighthearted situations, and they have the toon force, which they can pretty much do anything. It's really just a tool in the comedy genre used to make the show funny. It's always inconsistent and just does whatever. However, I do disagree with Seth and Chuck on Goku being a gag character. Now, with Kid Goku, I completely agree. But they mentioned that there's no real distinction. I think it was Chuck who mentioned that Kid Goku and Adult Goku are the same person. And then Seth says, yeah, except for that he's stronger. But I don't really see it as a consistent progression. That may be because I grew up in America and the American version is like really a bit different. But it just doesn't seem true to me. Like, I can agree with Goku and Kid in Dragon Ball being a parody of Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, god, mythological being. But once Raditz shows up and declares he's an alien, Goku's an alien, they're all aliens and stuff like that, this is really different and dramatically different from Journey from the West to the West. I don't see it as a parody anymore. One can say he parodies Superman because Superman is also an alien and all that sort of stuff, but I think Dragon Ball Z at that point it becomes much more consistent with itself. Even though it's riddled with comedy, it becomes a lot darker than Dragon Ball. I mean, you have like Frieza killing planets, you have Cell murdering people like on screen, like absorbing that one dude, like not even absorbing, just draining the flesh from that guy. That was messed up. But Goku and Dragon Ball in general, it ceases to become a parody and becomes its own show, its own series in its own right. Not that it wasn't before, but it's like concrete. This is its own. And now there are parodies of Goku. I think more than just a parody, Goku was inspired by Sun Wukong and Journey to the West. And inspiration does not generally mean parody, but yeah, I would agree. Kid Goku is definitely a parody. As to Saitama versus Boros, whether or not it's a gag fight, I don't think it's a gag fight. No, it's really serious and epic and awesome. But I don't think it was a normal anime fight. Normally, the exchange between protagonist and antagonist involves a lot more banter, screaming, and each participant sustaining damage. More often than not, the antagonist starts off stronger until the hero unlocks something or another. However, Saitama was stronger from the get-go, and Boros even mentions at the end, this wasn't a real fight. You were still holding back. And that right there is a clear indication that Saitama beating this planet-level Boros, that's not Saitama's limit. That's not where we should even peg him. To call Saitama planet level when he curb stopped with minimal effort, yeah, he uses one serious attack, but even at the end, Boros even states you were holding back against a planet level character. That means Saitama is beyond planet level. And in my opinion, it's a bit silly to peg him at saying Boros is where we should calculate him from. As for Saitama being limitless himself, I think I might eventually make a video about that, but right now I'll just mention that with these other characters like the Saiyans, King Piccolo, Buhan, Boo with Goku absorbed, those are boasts, not narration, and I think that should be treated differently. The Saiyans, I agree, are limitless. They just keep growing and growing and growing because they're, well, one, they're protagonists. But King Piccolo being limitless, no, that's garbage to me. I mean, sorry guys, but he wasn't limitless, and he's very low powered in comparison to some of these other characters. Buhan, exceptionally powerful villain, but I again don't think he was really limitless. Well, no, he was limitless. He could absorb more and more people. Yeah, he was limitless. Like, could you imagine, like, Buhan, Vegito absorbed, and like he actually absorbed him and didn't like get taken apart? He would just destroy the universe. Or like Beerus absorbed, like go over like Xenos. Oh man, that would just be, he would just wreck everything. But anyway, could Arale beat Superman? Or Superman? Oh. Yeah, she would crush Superman. I mean, the Superman is in the parody. But Arale versus Saitama, I believe she would probably beat Saitama too. But them meeting would obviously be a joke. It would be like, this crossover would be humor. It'd be comedy. It'd just be so silly. In fact, I can envision it. And yeah, Saitama would use like normal punch or consecutive punches, and Arale would just tank them or something ridiculous. Just like she interacted with Vegeta, it would just be really silly. Saitama would enjoy the fight, I think, like, because it would be actually somebody he can fight that doesn't just die from his serious series. Would Arale kill Saitama? I don't really think so. Not in there. It would be a really lame crossover, and it wouldn't make sense for the characters. And that's something I think that Chuck and Seth don't really look at, and they kind of downplay and forget, is the nature of the characters themselves, the spirit of the characters. I mean, they've read the manga and seen the anime for One Punch Man, so they know the spirit of the series is for humor, and it's a parody of the shonen. But so many, I guess it's because a bunch of people use Saitama and are like, blah 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 blah, and try and attack Goku, which these two guys are really passionate about. So their videos seem to be biased against Saitama. But really, Saitama is literally meant to never lose. You can say, oh, it's just in his series, but that's the nature of the character. And if you were to put him in a crossover, he's going to be less serious than most characters. And so he's going to end up tanking blows that you would not imagine him to. I view him limitless in potential, the same way that Gandalf in Lord of the Rings is. Like, he's as strong as the people around him, and he's strong as he needs to be. When that Balrog, the big demon-looking dude, shows up, Gandalf goes from just being a normal level person to being super powerful enough to take on this demon dude. And so I think Saitama's the same. I think that's his gag-like ability. I'm pretty confident that in a confrontation between Saitama and Arale, it wouldn't be a curb stomp. Just like I don't think Saitama versus Goku would be a curb stomp. Even though Goku shows higher level feats, Arale shows her gag feats are incredibly ridiculous and super powered. But I think that Saitama would rise to the occasion. I think that's what Saitama does. And he always does it for a comedic effect. As for a personal feat for Saitama that requires limitless power, I don't think we really have any that explicitly call for infinite power. But the black hole feat, which I don't actually think was I don't think Gregarious Stoop or whatever that telekinesis guy's name was, actually produced a black hole that would have killed Earth. But I do think that producing gravitational effects that are a significant fraction of a black hole's potential is no joke. Well, it was a joke, but I think that is still an impressive feat. I like to see Seth and Chuck respond to that feat sometime. I don't think they ever have, or at least I've not. They probably have, but I haven't read it in or seen it in any of the videos of theirs I've watched. But Arale versus Saitama, I think Arale would win. No contest. But I don't think it would be a curb stomp, and I don't think that would be the nature of a crossover between the two. And so I think it's missing the point to put them in a like a death battle esque. Let's see who's the best, because one's a gag character, one's a parody character. This is all just going to be a silly, funny comedy mashup sort of thing. So, other than that, I think I'm going to sign out, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.